On this episode of Lapeef, Let's Talk.
When Unc talks, I be quiet and I listen, right? I have mentors too, even though I'm high value. And the whole idea is that when you're able to move a certain type of way or you're able to identify other people that add value, I'm not trying to overtalk them. I'm not trying to get my point across. I'm not trying to do any of that. I listen and I pay attention and I learn because it's so much that he's taught me. And ironically enough, when I speak, when we talking and we interacting on a personal basis, he does the same thing with me. But my point is that these are characteristics from guys that are at the top of the totem pole and move a certain type of way, and they can really give you some insight if you humble yourself long enough to actually receive the information.
Well, I do want to say this real quick because I definitely am an avid watcher of Kevin Samuel's show. I was introduced to him for like a few months ago, and I was just amazed at the logic that he has and how it makes sense. And I don't think a lot of women give him enough props for what he is doing. Like he's doing God's work. So I appreciate him fully. And then that's how, honestly, I got on your page, Anton, through that. And then I started getting into the Black manosphere because I wanted to learn. I don't think Black women have listened to Black men at all for a very long time. And we've made Black men into what we want them to be instead of what and who they are. And I hate that we have done that, but these are the ramifications of the reason why we have done that. So for me personally, I am definitely a woman that's like, I refuse to continue the cycle of being a bitter single Black woman. I desire a husband, so therefore I'm creating myself to be a wife. And I don't think that particular conversation is being had, nor do I think a lot of Black women are saying that. A lot of Black women are just over talking, being boisterous, being very manly. And I had to learn how to scale that back. And that's what I'm doing. And I just want to see more of that, or Black women saying, hey, Kevin Samuels, hey, O'Shea Duke Jackson, hey, MTR, like, these platforms that men are having that are now speaking freely is definitely important. And if you're desiring a Black man, if you're wanting to marry a Black man, then you need to know who they are. And it's just important that I say that. So I appreciate Kevin Samuels to the fullest. Anton, I appreciate you as well too. JR as well with this platform too. So that's what I want to let you know, that you guys are appreciated.
But you know what? It feels good to see it because you don't see it too often that a woman speaks like yourself as far as some of the principles that need to be said. I mean, it's no shade to people that don't on the panel, but I'm just saying it's good to hear like a different perspective, because we can't grow, we can't learn, because all this time, I mean, even like while we were kids, we probably grew up thinking a certain way. So to have somebody to come in that thinks the opposite of how everybody else thinks, you might not agree in a moment, but you could take this information and just sit back, replay it, and listen. If it makes perfect sense, then you can go out there and you can start putting it out there, putting that same energy out there. So I definitely appreciate you giving your perspective and, owning it.
Thank you.
All right. Just joining us. Welcome to Lapeef, Let's Talk. Moving on to our next topic, which is, and this is in reference to Derek Jackson as well, and also outside of that, but should women take relationship advice from men? Should women take relationship advice from men? I'm gonna start with you, Courtney. I know you had a nice little flow going on there. Should women take relationship advice from men? You can
absolutely
go ahead.
Women would be a fool not to. As a matter of fact, your first relationship advice should have came from your father. So, like I said, men are very important. And if you're wanting to marry one, then you need to know who they are, and who's better to teach you who they are than a man. I definitely think that they need to be vetted. So just because a man doesn't mean they give you good advice, because again, you don't know who they are. Like we've been talking about Derek Jackson, people have been listening to his advice, and he's broken up many of the households. There's not been a one person that I've ever heard of getting married or their relationship got better by listening to him. So they definitely need to be vetted. But yes, your first relationship advice should have came from your father, should have came from your brothers, a particular man, because that man knows a lot more than you would know as far as with dating and wanting to be with one. So yeah, no, you should.
Tawana, should women take relationship advice from men?
I don't, but
What?
I guess I don't listen to Derek Jacks. I don't listen to Kevin Samuels. I'm not an avid. I do.
Who do you listen to?
I like Lena. She got a YouTube channel. You know, I like her. She's the Black woman. She, you know, she's married. And she is very critical of women and the state we're in and why we're not married. And I love her. You know, I love her advice. But most of the advice that I received about relationships came from women in my life. So like my aunt, you know, she was married for 40 years. My mother, she's been married. Like, you know, even my fiance's mother, who's been married for 50 years, like those are the women that tell me, you know, how to be a woman, how to please my man, like how to keep my house, you know, things that I need to do. Me and my dad are very close. You know, I love my dad. You know, we're very close, and
he never gave you no valuable information as far as. I didn't
say that my dad never gave me valuable information. Okay. I didn't say that.
Well, you said you didn't listen to men, so that's why I just wanted to ask.
Should women take relationship advice from men? And I said I don't, and I have reasons why I don't. Now, do I think that we should not listen to men as far as what they want, their desires, their needs, and things like that? Of course, like what a man needs in his relationships, what he wants, what he desires, all those things are important. But everything that I learned about being a wife and a mother and taking care of my home and things like that, I learned it from women, is what I'm saying. And so that's what
What did they tell you?
What have I just what do I do in my relationship?
Yeah.
So
like what did you learn from them? What are you currently doing in your relationship?
I mean, mostly, you know, for me, mostly being, you know, a wife, like I am a little traditional in the sense that, you know, I am the person who, you know, cleans. I'm the person who cooks primarily. I'm the person who, you know, takes care of the kids or whatever. So I'm that person, right? Like I know those things, but I also like have a partnership with, you know, my man. I spend time with him. Like I make sure he has time. I know, you know, that's important. So I just feel like I have balance. Like I learned a lot of how to be in a relationship from watching the women around me. And that's why, you know, that's
your father never gave you no information about men at all.
Well, I don't want to talk about my dad's life because, you know, I don't want to talk about
any man.
I don't want to talk about my dad's personal life. All I'm saying is what my experience is and why who I've taken relationship advice from. Now, would I ever listen to somebody like Derek Jantz? No, I hate the way he talks too much. Like I cannot stand listening to his videos. And I don't know how women were able to connect to him and follow him and actually take his advice. It was like me listening to one video was like, oh my God, this is ridiculous. So no, I don't listen to a man like
Was it ridiculous after he got caught or before?
I never listened to him. Never. I mean, what? I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan of him, you know, and I'm sorry just because I'm not like, ooh, a man is going to tell me everything and I'm going to do exactly what he say. I'm not that type of woman. I'm sorry. I have listened to women most of my life and it has not steered me wrong as of yet. So therefore, the one time that I didn't listen to my mother or my family is when I did get married and I went against what they said. And absolutely everybody in my family was like, you are making the wrong decision. A lot of people told me that, but me being stubborn and wanting to do it my way, did it the way I wanted to do it.
Come on.
And that's why I was in the situation that I was in. And now I have taken in that relationship. I've seen how other successful marriages have worked. I did the work. I think I'm in the position now, and I feel more comfortable getting married, and I know where I'm getting into this time. And I think that most of my advice came from women in my life who were they were doing it. They were wives. I don't know where they got their advice from. Now that could have came from their fathers. That could have came from their, whomever. I'm not saying that they didn't get their advice from whomever. I'm just telling you who have been instrumental in providing me advice and helping me get, like, especially in my relationships.
Okay.
How can you know what a man wants without speaking to a man? How can you know how to treat a husband without talking to a husband?
Let's be clear, because I don't think you're listening to me. I never once said that you don't know what men want. Okay, I have said repeatedly that you need to know what men want. You need to know their desires. This question is, do you take relationship advice from men? And I said no. So you don't. I mean, there's a difference between knowing what a man wants, knowing his desires.
The question is, should women take relationship advice?
That's right. Should women take relationship
specifically?
Right. And so here's the thing. I don't think that women should take relationship advice from men, because I feel like people like Derek Jenks, it's another man named Ace, it's the men who take advantage of women. They tell women whatever they want to hear. And then what they do is program women to be like what they think women should be.
That's only like 0.2% of the men that's out here. There's a bunch of men out there.
But
that's probably giving some good information.
I'm not saying those are the only men. Those are two examples.
Right, but we're talking about women as a whole. Should women take relationship advice from men?
And I said no.
None whatsoever. Okay.
I said no.
Anton, should women take relationship advice from men?
Yeah, I think that women should primarily take relationship advice from men. But there's a caveat to that. They should take relationship advice from alpha men. They should take relationship advice from great men, from kings, from winners. And the thing about it is that a lot of women are subjecting themselves to dudes that act like women. So when you see these people like Derek Jackson, they are a reflection of other women's values. These are simps that validate women in order to try to justify or sell a book or get browning points or make themselves feel better about whatever it is that they're doing, or but these are the type of guys that are not leaders. They are often in the phone, and you'll see one or two slip through. You'll see a Derek Jackson slip through. You'll see a whatever these other type of dudes slip through. But ultimately, you do need to subject yourself and humble yourself. And I use that word all the time. I'm so glad that Kev said it. And the weird part about it is that you see, like when Unc talk, because I talk to him pretty regularly. I talk to him very often. We interact with each other. We talk about money. We talk about certain assets that we have. We talk about the different things that we buy that add value, whatever. We talk about real life stuff, because my circle and the people that I associate myself with are high value, right? But when Unc talks, I be quiet and I listen, right? I have mentors too, even though I'm high value. And the whole idea is that when you're able to move a certain type of way, or you're able to identify other people that add value, I'm not trying to overtalk them. I'm not trying to get my point across. I'm not trying to do any of that. I listen and I pay attention and I learn, because it's so much that he's taught me. And ironically enough, when I speak, when we talking and we interacting on a personal basis, he does the same thing with me. But my point is that these are characteristics from guys that are at the top of the totem pole and move a certain type of way. And they can really give you some insight if you humble yourself long enough to actually receive the information. Often at times we see this and we see people that say, no, I would never, or no, or whatever. And nobody in particular, but often these type of people are not successful. These are people that have a lot of pride. They have a lot of ego. They have a lot of what they ain't gonna do, and they'd rather be broke than, or rather be by themselves, or whatever. If whatever alternative, or the ulterior thing that they said that they wouldn't subject themselves to. These are the people that often die alone, are unhappy, or they have to settle for a certain type of guy or a beta guy who really at this point in his life is just waiting to wake up. And so when I coach guys, I coach some of the dopest dudes I've ever seen in my life. And I'm talking about millionaires. When I coach women, I'm coaching some of the most successful women in their relationships and their real life that I've ever seen in my life. And you know what they all have in common? They listen to men, real men that's at the top of the totem pole, alpha men that are successful in multiple phases of their life. And the ones that usually find themselves, because you'll see somebody slip through the cracks here and now of somebody that get lucky or they marry somebody early enough or whatever like that. The ones that usually are the ones that's arguing on all of these chats and Clubhouse and Facebook and Instagram or whatever it is, the ones that's the biggest advocates are usually the ones that's the least successful in their relationship. So to answer your question, JR, they absolutely should be subjecting themselves to and listening to a certain type of men that can give them the information that they're going to need in order to be successful.
Key word is certain men, not all men.
That's why I said bet.
Nick, should women take relationship from advice from men?
I'm gonna say it depends. Like I'm just not randomly gonna take relationship advice from a man. Now, if it's a man that I am interested in, absolutely, because this is a man that I want to get to learn. This is a one that I want to get to know. This is a man that I want to get to know what he likes, what he doesn't like. If the interaction is going to be. So yeah, I'm very much open when it comes to that. But just a random guy, no. You know, I'm not, because I don't really see a benefit in it, because and I guess I don't see a benefit in it because I'm not really in that position where I care to learn. Let's just say it in that particular way. I think when I am being approached by a man, or if I start to talk to a guy at that particular moment, then I want to learn that particular guy. I want to learn what makes that particular guy tick. I want to learn everything that I need to learn about that particular guy. His wants, his happiness, what he needs, this, what he wants. We talk, we have this, because this is a person that I may potentially be investing in, right? So I want to know everything about you. But even when we go back to that Derrick Jacks, even when listening to him and how he pandered, it just wasn't, it wasn't in me. You were just saying unnecessary. The stuff he was saying was so unnecessary and so just one-sided. Everything was just one-sided when it came to him. So I wouldn't have never listened to that. Like I only, and even with my mom, my family, I looked and I saw my grandmother serve my grandfather. Right. I saw that. I saw my grandmother always have food on the table for my grandfather. No questions about it. Even though my grandmother could make her own money, she never worked, and my granddaddy took care of it. You right? But it was a certain order she had to live by. She was miserable when he died. She didn't remarry again, not because she loved him so much. She said to me, in her quote words, "I did my time and I'm not going out and get another owner." She felt owned for 40 years. So this is the thing. You say that a single woman can sit and she'll be unhappy, right? But sometimes married women sit and be unhappy as well, too, for the greater good. You understand? She stayed for the greater good so her kids could see that. But she was miserable in that state. He took care of everything. She didn't want for nothing. But she was miserable. Because for her not wanting for nothing, it cost her everything. So when she lost him, she was happy about that. You understand? She was free, and she never got with anybody again. Not because she was very meek. So it wasn't because she just didn't want to have to be subject to another person abusing her in that particular type of way, using that power because he spent money, using that power because he takes care of the home, and holding that over her. Walking the way he wants her to walk, dressing the way that he wants her to dress, talking the way that he wants her to talk.
Okay. Well, I think that
I get it.
That's anecdotal.
So when she told me that, when those came out of her words, her mouth, that she spent 40 years miserable, and she did it for the greater kids of her kids. She put up with this man infidelity and everything for her kids. So her kids can have their father in the house. So her kids can see two parents in the house. She put up with that misery. She put up with crying and nights because she decided that was the man she wanted to marry. Right? So you want to say that a woman can sit and she's going to be unhappy because she's single because she doesn't want to choose. Mm-hmm. She doesn't want to. She chooses herself and say that if she has to go through all of that, I'd just rather be by myself. Doesn't necessarily mean that she got to be unhappy. Like you can't put every woman in a box and say that, well, this is the standard for all. If a woman is single, she got to be unhappy. That's a lie.
Do you want to be single? Like,
okay. Well, yeah. Well, that's Anna.
You don't want to be married ever.
I've already been married.
Okay.
I was married.
So you don't want to get married again ever?
No,
you don't want
to do that again. I don't want to get. This is what y'all have to. Every woman ain't the same. Y'all making it seem like every woman walks the same. You say, Courtney, that if a woman doesn't want to get married, she's unhappy. That is a lie. I was married and I was unhappy married.
Let me tell you,
it's not a one size fits all.
Hold on, Nick.
You gotta chill for a second. You gotta chill, okay? Because we're going back. This is not the topic, but we can go back and I don't have no problem. This is why women will be unhappy. You were created, your purpose is for a man. Whenever you're out of your purpose, you're going to be unhappy. And as of right now, I know that you said that you got, divorced and stuff, but I'm not seeing a happy sister right now.
You're not.
I'm not seeing a woman that's happy. Yeah, because you're out of your purpose.
But ma'am, I was married. If I wanted to stay in the purpose, don't you think I would have stayed married? I was married. That's what y'all don't think. I was
she's talking about in general as well.
But I was married.
If it did not work,
it's the biggest prize ever to be married.
Nick,
you gotta chill. Right. You gotta chill. If you did not, your marriage didn't work for whatever reason, it's always three parts to a story. Okay. Then now that you're single, then you need to do work on you. You need to get yourself in therapy. You need to work out those issues that you've had and continuously probably still going through. You got to get help for yourself to be whole. Once you're whole, maybe you'll meet a whole man. Maybe you'll meet a man that's not cheating at you, got you at McDonald's. That's not no good, dude. High value, low value. Got you screaming over a cheeseburger. What kind of foolishness is that? You have to help yourself. You become whole and you attract what you are. Okay. If you got a whole lot of stuff going on, baby girl, you're going to find another man that's going to give you that same ruckus because you bringing that mess to him as well. But you're not going to be happy living this life alone and broken.
Okay. So let me help you, Courtney. I've been to therapy 3 times. And let me tell you why I've been to therapy.
I've ever seen on this platform that I have not disagreed with.
But I literally been to therapy. So that's cute that everybody
be there.
But can I finish though? Yes, the first time that I went to therapy, ma'am, is when I tried to have sex on my own for the first time after when I was raped, and I associated sex as being a bad thing. So I, on my own, went to therapy to help me with that. Right. Mm-hmm. Second time I went to therapy on my own.
At this point, let's just try to stay on topic so we can get to the last.
So what? Don't tell me that I need to go to therapy and then say we need to stay on topic. Because telling me I need to go to therapy wasn't on topic. Right. So then I should be able to address that. If she tells me I need to go to therapy,
I think that we have to. I think we got to put this up on like a separate segment of its own. But I think it is something that needs to be spoken about because I'm pretty sure that there are a lot of women that might be in the same position that you are in. Mm-hmm. And like a lot of women, and then sometimes when you go get therapy, that second person might not be the right one. So you got to keep shopping around until you find the right person that can reach you to be able to give you that.
Y'all interrupted me and not even letting me finish. Okay, what was going on?
Baby girl,
a couple minutes.
I don't really know anybody.
When you have a pre-notion, when you already have a pre-notion of a person, it doesn't even matter what she's saying.
But let's be clear.
Because of the interaction.
I don't want nobody beating down someone who came on a show and was vulnerable and shared very vulnerable details about herself. We are not therapists and we are not in any position to tell a woman anything. Okay, but I do.
That.
I do. Okay, so all I'm saying is she don't owe any explanation. Let's move on.
But to
We
no,
she don't owe
anybody
because
no one asked her to share that. She did. So because
we,
she offered
exactly.
Well, I shared it because then he not asked me. Then
no one
Kevin
asked her background.
Hold on,
we don't need
Kevin said he was asking questions about women.
That's all I'm saying.
But he asked a question about women far back, about why women don't.
None of us are qualified to give her.
Yeah, but he asked a question about why.
Hey, we need some order. We need some order. We need some order. So many people talking.
Women on the
but here's the thing. This is what
I don't understand. I don't understand.
It comes down to is that nobody asked you to use your own personal information, but when you decided to volunteer the information and use your own personal situation, it became full game. You decided to volunteer that. Secondly,
I'm okay with that because I'm okay with that. That's I tell people my story of being raped because other people have gone through that same trauma, and it's not always
the thing. When somebody comments on it, you can't then say, "Well, you can't tell me," because they can, because it's full game. That's number one. Number two, you can't say that you haven't been you are not allowed to finish. You've had more talk time than anybody else on the platform.
Now that's true. You have talked very long. Like we know your story.
I won't say that, but I'm going to say that I have. But what I'm saying is, I'm not telling you. If you tell me I need to go to therapy, how come I can't explain that I already went? Right. That was my only thing. I'm an open book.
All right, y'all. We got to move on to the next topic, or we're gonna be here all night.
You need to continue.
Let's move on to the next topic, y'all. We still got one more to get through.